So what we're going to be talking about today is infectious disease. We are attempting to answer the question, what is an infectious disease? We need to define a few terms before we discuss infectious diseases. And the first is pathogen. And a pathogen is any organism that causes disease. In this picture here, we see some bacteria that cause disease. We also need to define what an infectious disease is. And an infectious disease is any disease caused by a pathogen. There are some examples of different infectious diseases in this picture at the side. When you have an infectious disease, like strep throat, the flu, or chickenpox, this means that pathogens or organisms are inside your body causing harm. So how do infectious diseases and pathogens spread? Well, they're spread from person to person in 4 different ways. 1, by infected people. 2, by soil, food, and water. 3, by contaminated objects or surfaces. And 4, by infected animals. Let's first talk about infected people. When somebody has an infection, they can pass it to another person by 2 different ways. They can pass it by direct contact or by indirect contact. And direct contact would include things such as kissing or shaking hands, like you're actually touching them. And this occurs with diseases like cold sores or mono. And pathogens can also spread from person to person through indirect contact. And this would mean that you're not directly touching a person, but you're in close proximity to that person, and let's say you cough or you sneeze. And the cold and the flu spread in this manner. As we stated before, direct contact would include kissing and shaking hands. So you're actually touching that person. And our examples are cold sores and mono. Now, the other way that disease can spread is through food, water, and soil. And so pathogens, they occur naturally in the environment, in food, water, in soil, and in water. And these pathogens can cause toxins that are poisons which develop in our food and water. And when people eat that food and water, they become infected, and those toxins can make you very sick. And one of the examples would be cholera. Cholera is an infectious disease found in water that is not chemically treated to remove contaminants, and cholera causes diarrhea. Pathogens can also spread from one person to another by contaminated objects or surfaces. When somebody has an infection and they touch a surface such as a doorknob or your cell phone or a laptop keyboard, those pathogens can survive outside the body for a very short period of time, minutes to hours, we'll say. And then when somebody else comes along and touches that item, they pick up that pathogen or that germ and they pass it on to themselves, and then they become infected. Have you ever stopped to think of how many germs actually live on your cell phone? It's probably a lot more than you imagined. So clean your cell phones frequently. In fact, all of these surfaces should be cleaned frequently to avoid contamination. And then disease can also spread through infected animals. When an infected animal bites you, it can pass that pathogen on to a person. And an example would be raccoons and dogs and skunks and these wild animals can carry rabies. And if they bite you, you get rabies. And also mosquitoes, they carry a pathogen that causes the disease malaria. And you catch that disease by being bitten by the mosquito. Well, that concludes this video on infectious disease. Thank you for watching.